Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the Council of Future Conflicts. My name is Scott. I am the proprietor of the Future Conflict Tale, and today, Watcher, pull it up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry, I was busy looking at that video.
uh,
Yeah, that video
today we're
was
talking.
legit, Scott. Yeah.
I told you, man. I was watching it too, but I finished it earlier than you guys did. Anyway, sorry guys. I foolishly shared a video with Joe and Watcher in the private chat right before we went live, and of course it distracted us.
You know what? And as long as we're here, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'm going to give you the part that I have been playing and replaying over and over again. It's like 2 seconds long. Whoo.
Well, yeah. So later on, there's a point where I'm like, "This is looking good. This is looking good." Then all of a sudden, this guy's holding an AK like this by the magazine, and I'm like, "All right, come on, buddy." It's like, wait, who let FUD in there?
Yeah.
But they can't all be Delta Force operators. All right, we're talking about Charlie's memorial today and the Venezuelan vendetta. If you guys didn't realize, that situation kind of has blown up in the last week or so, and it's kind of coincided with all the stuff we've been talking about with Charlie. And so the idea today is to kind of clear the decks on Charlie's murder, and unless we've got like something credible and new pop up, we'll probably try to get to other topics. But this, after the memorial, you just can't ignore some of the stuff. Guys, I'll sum the memorial up in kind of two speeches. It's a tale of two speeches. It's Erica's speech and then Stephen Miller's speech for me. And we'll be talking more about that. I mean, both of those goes like really, hard. I think hers is amazing because I don't know how she just came right out and forgave that kid. I'm not saying she shouldn't have done it. She should do it. She's just stronger than me. I don't know if he did that if somebody did that to my daughter, I don't know that I would be able to be that strong and do that. But I pray to have the humility to be able to do something like that.
I will go with the quote from John W. Creasy once again. Forgiveness is between them and God. It's my job to arrange the meeting.
Yeah, that's kind of more my. I feel that's how I would feel. That being said, I also know enough of the Bible to feel guilty a little bit about it, though I don't know that I would be any different.
As the tale of Gideon tells us, we are God's instrument. So perhaps He wanted me to be the instrument of His vengeance.
I'm going to tell myself swords. Well, there's something in Romans somewhere about swords and things, and anyway.
Yeah. Well, there's a very clarifying story in Mormon theology about this that I quite like. A man is literally sent to go kill an evil king by God and has that direct question: how can you send me to kill if your first commandment was not to kill? And the Lord's like, well, it's not murder. You're killing in self-defense. Go do it.
The one thing that I don't want to get, I'm not going to get into this at all when we talk about the memorial, so I'll just mention it now. If you haven't seen the autopsy photos, if you weren't there, all that kind of stuff, then please don't even spread this.
And let me point something out. I pointed this out on a podcast we recorded last night. Doesn't matter. Y'all need to stop. What's going on with all these various conspiracies is, and I think, did we include that tweet from Vlad in our thing? Is you're trying to make reasons to not have to actually be worried about this.
Yes, we've got it in there.
Yeah.
We're going to get into this when we see the tweet from Vlad. It's an excuse to not prepare. You want it to be a conspiracy. It's just a leftist guy who shot him. The fact of the matter is, Charlie Kirk is dead, and this guy shot him. That's all you need to know.
And there are 100 more, 1,000 more, 10,000 more of these guys out there.
Yeah, and Kenny, we're not picking on you. There's one of a million theories out here. There could be space aliens. It's a magical Jew that was underneath him, or some other weirdness.
Well, so there's a different shooter. Wasn't from it was from the back. That was an exit wound, not an entry. I mean, it's there's a lot of things out there. And unless you have some sort of firsthand knowledge,
and listen, to believe this thing about the
course,
30-06 stopping on his neck, I have to believe another thing. So they say they haven't recovered the slug. Well, if they haven't recovered the slug and it didn't exit his neck, those two things cannot be true.
Okay, so how do I put this? I went into this one pretty specifically. Yeah, the slug is there. The problem is that it fragmented a lot, and in order to remove it, they would have had to, let's just say, cause a lot more damage than they were willing to cause at that moment when they were about to have an open casket funeral. So they decided maybe that could just stay.
And I don't know that a 30-06 would do that at that short of a range, but maybe. I wasn't there, so
yeah. I have not seen the autopsy photos. I haven't seen the autopsy report. I don't know any kind of witness to any of that information that's come out and is public. So it's kind of like, I don't know where people are getting any of this information from. I have seen no authoritative sources that I would trust.
And again, everyone being some sort of a ballistic expert all of a sudden, does any of it matter?
Yeah, he's
Someone
dead.
killed Charlie Kirk. That's the point.
Right. Anyway, so I'm not gonna entertain that because I don't find it interesting, and B, I don't find it credible. So if something comes out later,
well, can I just give a quick C for that? I wouldn't entertain it because it's been directly exposed that Antifa and others are trying to split who is responsible by introducing any conspiracy theories possible to cause the right to fight each other.
Well,
so
I think
I'm literally just going to ignore it at this point because I assume that you don't understand that you're doing it for them, but you're doing it for them.
No, you're absolutely right. Any reason to put daylight between people who would normally agree with each other? And this is why I think it's terrible that there's some people on the right have made this about themselves versus about Trump. And so, yeah. All right. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about Charlie's Memorial. And we're going to be talking about some of the backlash on that. We're also going to be talking about Antifa coming out of that. Because we're seeing apparently some movement inside the government towards making Antifa and other left-wing or radical left-wing organizations foreign terrorist organizations. And by the way, I think that's the key thing, guys. I did not a lot of reading, but a little. And I think, Joe, you really hit on something. If it's a domestic organization, like gang or organized crime is about as good as you're going to get, and that doesn't really work for Antifa, which really has international roots, international money. So foreign terror organization, I think, works a lot better. And it also kind of puts it in a different fight, right? Like different people go after foreign terrorists than go after domestic terrorists. And it's generally outside of the DOJ if that's the case. The DOJ is not an organization I trust right now.
I don't trust too many federal organizations right now.
I trust some people, and like Joe Kent's somebody I trust. So if you put this fight in his hands, I'd until I see something that different, I'd say I trust him to take that fight. Anyway, I'm still coming off of a cold from this weekend. I felt like ass on Saturday and Sunday, so I was kind of going into it on Friday, and now I'm coming out of it, but I'm still not 100%. So apologies for the congestion sounds and the sniffles and the coughs and all that kind of whatnot. I wish I had one of those cough buttons, like they do on for the radio. All right. Joe, how you doing, brother? How was your weekend?
You know what? It was pretty good. We ran another canning class here, so we're really big in the into the self-reliance stuff here, helping people stretch this harvest out, teaching them how to can stuff. We canned some outstanding beef stew, and you know what? Just kind of hung out around the compound all weekend. Pretty good stuff. The one time though, Jim threatened to stop by, but I was already gone. I was like, "Oh man, you should have got me like an hour ago," and I would have changed my plans. But It was a quiet weekend in Big Fork, Montana. So I did
Very good.
record it. I wanted to talk about this on the show for everyone. I did record with a podcast called "What Did You Do This Week" with Molly Miller, and who is an original cast member on this show.
Yeah,
And,
from the Writer's Six Problems days. Yeah, that's that's a deep cut.
And 50 Shades from Twitter, who me, her, and Demp a couple of Christmases ago, and a whole bunch of others got together to pass out gear to guys who were less fortunate. We had people nominate people.
Yeah, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah. And 50 did a great job of organizing all that. So her and I talked about that yesterday. We're going to try our best to revive that and spread some gear and holiday cheer at the same time. So anyway, check out the podcast. I will drop a link when our episode pops up, but it's on Spotify and it's called "What Did You Do This Week?"
Cool. Very cool. What did you do this week? Check that out. Watcher, how you doing, brother?
I've had a weird spate of bad luck, man.
I mean,
like
only Watcher can.
Huh? Well, I mean, like, I don't want to get too far into it, but, like, I'm talking, like, weird stuff. Like, I got involved in a hit and run, and then there was a massive car accident in my front yard that caused, like, $4,000 worth of damage to my front yard.
You're supposed to admit that on the internet.
Yeah. It's just, there's just crazy crap. Just all kinds of crazy shit happen. Oh, one of my kids left our quail enclosure open, and our cat came and ate, like, 20 of our quail. Like it's not been a great week, but we're here.
Well, I mean, shit happens, man. It's just you can't. It's nothing personal. I mean,
Oh, to be clear, Joe, by involved in a hit and run, I mean a guy did a hit and run on me. They caught him.
It was a joke.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just at the moment I'm just kind of which deity's Cheerios did I pee in? It must be Ganesh. Yeah. I've cursed him enough online that he's coming after me now.
I saw your comment, PD. So if that's true, I mean, here's my thought is that it would make sense. That would also make the going through the vest or being, kind of the path of the bullet being altered by the vest. That would make that a more understanding, because that's about the only thing I could think that would slow a 30-06 down at all would be like going through the vest. Anyway, but yeah, like Joe says, it doesn't make him less dead. All right.
Hold on. We've got a tenor on Rumble. It looks like.
Okay, I do not. You know what? I totally forgot to open Rumble, so I'm sorry. Let me stop and do that.
Oh, for the record, what's the take on the George Webb investigative journalist point of view? Have you ever dealt with George Webb on a regular basis? I've had him in my DMs many times. It's George Webb, bro. I mean.
I've never even heard of him before.
He hangs out there with Harry the Greek. They're pretty similar.
Pinochet's helicopter tours for $5. Leaving the hospital today to go home. Panel TY, thank you for trying to focus people on being prepared. I'm surrounded by emergency staff at a hospital that I worry are, again, complacent as to how our world is. Yeah, what's funny is when you have an opportunity to talk to people in the real world, you just start to get like, oh my God, how complacent are these people? Actually, there's something else I want to mention. I'm going to Lost Core 23 for $10 says, Gooding, CFC, listening in the gym for the first time in a while. Yeah, man. Part of being prepared is going to the gym and getting in better shape. And, it's like, guys, look, I think all three of us would agree that you can always lose 10 more pounds, right? You've got we're all off of our fighting weight of when we were 25. Now, are we ever going to get back there? No, but that doesn't mean you can't become, you can't eat better, you can't drink less, you can't, do whatever vices that you do less, and exercise more. I mean, these are things that we're all never going to get to perfection on. Just try to a little bit at a time makes a big difference. I want to get back to Pinochet's thing real quick. Joe, I had a good conversation with a work friend over the weekend. And she basically, she's really woken up based on some conversations that she's come to me asking, because she knows generally my kind of sense of the world. And she sees the news that's happening. She's like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on? And, I kind of do some this happened and then this happened and these are all connected, and just kind of like the 30-second version of kind of what we do here on the show. And one of the discussion I had with her the other day was, people are walking through life exactly. And I use Irina as the example, and this is not her fault. I'm not blaming her. Right. But she's not to blame for what happened to her. That animal is, but she had her head down in her phone. She wasn't paying attention to her surroundings. She was giving her back to somebody that she didn't know. There are just a list of things that she could have done that would have put her in a better position to be able to survive that situation. And she didn't do those. And it wasn't because she did something wrong. You can always be better prepared, and you can always be more aware. And you need to get your head out of stop being distracted and start, looking at the world. I think this kind of stuff happened less in the old days because people weren't just unless you had a newspaper or something like that on the bus or whatever, your head was up and you were looking around and you paid attention to the world around you. Now with the phones, people are just completely out to lunch.
Yeah, I think that it's social media that makes it seem as though these things happen more. They're just out here more, right? We're learning about it more. They're not happening anymore. However, I will say that leftist organized violence is on the rise.
It is.
And I asked this question of PD, and it's not from a point of being angry. Let's just say you find out something about this. What does that change? This kid still shot him. Charlie Kirk is still dead. And and I'll say this, bullets do weird things. It's never a predictable response. I've seen guys have bullets pass through them and not expand. I've had guys take a minor hit that the damage was absolutely ridiculous from what should have been a minor hit. Yeah. Bullets are just weird things. Physics is odd. So.
Yeah, the thing that always kind of befuddled me is let's say you get gut shot with a 9mm, it'll pass pretty much, unless it's a hollow point or some sort of frangible round or something like that. It pretty much stays through you and even potentially can penetrate you going through the midsection, right? Whereas a rifle round is way more likely, the high velocity rifle round is more likely to actually fragment by the time. And so if it'll exit you, but it'll exit you in a bunch of pieces.
Buckshot.
I always thought that was really interesting how the rifle rounds fragment, much quicker than, but every round kind of does something different. You guys have all seen the ballistic gel tests. That's literally like a perfect environment. It doesn't always work that way. And as soon as it hits a bone or something like that, it can do really weird things.
I have never once in my life been attacked by ballistic gel. So everyone always sends me ballistic gel tests to explain to me why their round is better than mine. I've never had to stop ballistic gel once in my life. So.
We actually had somebody in Iraq that we don't know if it was a Dishka round, like a 12.7, Soviet round, or if it was a BMG round, but they were hit by a BMG round and it penetrated their vest at an angle and then went off of the like it like ricocheted off of the like through the muscle and off the rib cage or whatever and out the vest, and then it impacted on the vehicle. So that's how they knew what kind of round it was, because they got the fragments of it. Like I said, it was too destroyed to know if it like what kind of 50 cal, but it was clearly a 50 cal, and the wound damage was bad. It was just, it should have fucking destroyed the guy, but it had a weird deflection.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, man. I mean, sometimes you
number's not up. Your number's not up.
That's exactly right. Amen, brother. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into the so the whole Charlie thing kind of puts domestic terror in light, but this is a great example of just more left-wing terror. And so we have two examples of this. The first one is so California just released a liberal who shot up the ABC news station, if you guys didn't hear about that, for firing Jimmy Kimmel. So which is, that's worth shooting something up, right?
Police say ABC 10's building was targeted in a drive-by shooting yesterday afternoon. 3 bullet holes were seen in the window of the building's lobby. No one was hurt, but people were inside of that building.
So, well, I mean, guys, this is clearly a no big deal, because what? The guy fucking got, they posts some trivial bail and then is released?
Well, I mean, this all has to do with the law. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
He shot the building, shot up ABC because they canceled Jimmy Kimmel's show.
Yeah.
That's not sane behavior. So,
yeah, the guy's a former legislative director, I believe, for the teachers union, and then multiple other leftist activist causes type things. It shows a sign online, like I pulled up his account, very clearly radicalized to the left over the last couple of years. Additionally, I have to say, why did he get out on bail, and why was the bail so relatively inexpensive for what he did? Well, because according to California state law, this and many other things that you would assume are violent crimes don't count as violent crimes. Drive-by is not a violent crime according to California state law, unless somebody actually gets shot.
Unless somebody happens to be standing on the other side of the window that they show in there and takes a 9mm round to the freaking dome.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden it's capital murder.
Yeah, according to California state law, this is simply property damage.
Joe, this is the kind of thing, like, I'm like, hey, listen, we shouldn't have like hate crimes and like special terror crimes and things like that. Like, but this is where I would reconsider the whole terrorism. It's like, if you can draw a link to an action and a political ideology, hey man, maybe he needs like an additional 10-year terror kind of like additional charge or something. I just want these people to like actually have some sort of, and I wonder if there isn't a federal crime that couldn't be, because the ABC is regulated by the FCC. I wonder if there's not I don't know. I'm reaching, but still.
I'll give my standard caution. We don't need modifiers.
I know. I'm just saying.
But the more modifiers we put on things, the more modifiers the other side will someday.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just saying, it's just one of those kind of things. I don't.
I will say the only thing I will disagree with Joe about that is if we could somehow find a way to apply specific modifiers that have been applied to us to specific protected groups the left wants to protect. I believe that's the fastest way to make the left get rid of them. I think that's the fastest way to make the left go, ooh, no, that's a bad law. We got to get rid of that.
I think Joe's right. I think if you start using these modifiers the way they do, they're just going to be like, oh boy, that means we can just do more when we get back in charge because we're coming. All right. So let's look at the second one of this category here. Another domestic terror event. Shooting at Sky Meadow Country Club in Nashua. During a wedding of 100 guests, Hunter Naidu shouted "Free Palestine" before firing up to 7 shots. Robert DeCesar, 59, was killed, 2 wounded, more hurt in chaos. Now, the thing I heard about this was that, and I think it's this guy's video, one of the clips here, is basically that the guy goes like straight to somebody, so it looked like he might know who he is.
That they knew who.
Didn't hear anything. He just came out and said,
What he said.
yeah, what he said was the children are safe and, free Palestine.
What was that moment like when you heard the gunshots?
At first, I didn't realize it was gunshots. It sounded like balloons because, we were at a festivity thinking, maybe somebody popped the balloon. But then you look around, we didn't have balloons. And then it got serious because it was 2 and then 4 right away. That's what I heard anyway.
Did people start running right away?
Get the sense that.
Yeah, at a different point in that, he basically said that he didn't know if the guy knew him or anything, but he just seemed to walk right straight to that guy and then shot him.
Well, the guy shouted "Free Palestine," so
Yeah,
whether he knew him or not becomes irrelevant.
Right.
At that point. Yeah.
right.
The point of sharing both of these stories is for everyone to realize where you are. We need to stop thinking that these one single things are grand government conspiracies or Jewish conspiracies, and it doesn't really matter. People are shooting at you, and you need to pay attention to that. Get out of the media danger before you start coming up with the aliens did it.
And this is what globalize the Antifa really means, okay, if you say that, okay, this is what that means. So does that mean that because you were shouting it, we can now charge you as well as this guy? Because, Joe, that's where that whole kind of
and this is in Country Club Suburbia, America. Nashville, New Hampshire is not a big place. Everyone thinks these things only happen in the big cities. That's not really a big city. It's a moderate-sized place, but this is mostly suburbia. And you understand it's going on everywhere.
Yep. But yeah, so when I said it fairly recently, and I'll say it again, terror is occurring every week. Political motivated terror is occurring every week in this country. You just have to open your eyes and see. I heard the guy who got killed slammed a chair over the shooter. I don't know. I don't know that that's true. I haven't heard anything like that.
Yeah, I have not heard that, PD. That's an interesting point. It would be cool if it did. Be cooler if you did, though.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you did.
But yeah, you're right. It does give you a reason to not drink at weddings, to stay aware. And hey, I will challenge y'all with this. It's possible to have a drink or two and still remain aware and not be drunk and not be able to respond. So
if you are an average size adult, you can have 1 drink per hour and maintain a sober,
Yeah, I have to say the worst part of this, in my opinion, is that the guy got away with monologuing. If somebody's going to stand and monologue and start doing free Palestine with a gun in their hands, hey, you don't have to let them finish that before you take care of the problem.
I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna talk about the memorial here in a bit, but I just found. I want to make sure we talk about this because this factors into some of the story. So I'm sharing you a link to my favorite loser hippie on the internet.
Oh boy.
All right, let's move on to this next topic here. Far left protesters will not be satisfied until France collapses. Now, Joe, I could have sworn France collapsed last week, or was it the week before? Or the week before that.
Or the week before that, yeah. France is just as lost as the United Kingdom, but actually their government did collapse last week.
Yeah, so evidently, I guess they tried to put a new prime minister in or something like that, and it failed. So we'll see. Paris is crippled this week by constant protests designed to throttle traffic and shit. Shut. It says
there's a typo in that story.
That's really funny.
Or not.
Shut down basic services instead of shut down basic services. And the majority of the mob is comprised of far-left activists, including Antifa. Paris actions are coupled with nationwide demonstrations that saw sporadic clashes with police who fired volleys of tear gas. Activists argue that 8 years of leadership by France's business-friendly president Emmanuel Macron have benefited too few people and hurt too many. Well, God, I could have told you that. This is what happens when you put fucking, was it Klaus, what's his name, in charge of, Klaus Schwab in charge of France, because that's exactly who Macron was. Yeah. Let's see. The protests ignited in response to austerity measures issued by the struggling government, including cuts to socialist programs and an increase.
There it is. He's going to make us have to work. Now we have to burn everything down.
And an increase in the national retirement age. You know, Joe, if they just got rid of the fucking illegal immigrants, or let's even be honest, the irrational immigrants that have been brought into their country legally over the last few decades, there'd be probably plenty of jobs for these French people, and they wouldn't need these fucking austerity measures.
CWSB asks a great question. How can anyone tell that basic services are shut down? For what I've seen, they've been shut down for over a year.
I know, right? Well, ever since the Yellow Vest protest started, it's kind of like, how can you tell? Let's see. Macron's opponents complain taxpayer-funded public services, free schools, and public hospitals subsidize healthcare, unemployment benefits, and other safety nets that are cherished in France are being eroded. Big surprise. France crawled from one crisis to another since he dissolved Parliament in 2024, triggered in a legislative election that sacked Parliament's lower house with critics of the president. Left-wing parties and the supporters want higher taxes for the wealthy and businesses to. God, I wish they would do that. There just aren't any fucking wealthy people left in France. I mean, there are, but not like there used to be. There's just not enough. You can't tax your way out of this stuff. There's just not enough wealthy people. There's not enough wealthy people in America to tax our way out of these problems.
No,
and
you know what?
We don't spend nearly as much on this shit as they do.
I'm sorry, but you have to look to a different country in order to illustrate this to the people who actually need it illustrated for them, because the ones you're pointing at are just preaching to the choir. Even if you're China and have the ability to control the ability to try and fully control the entire economy, but more importantly, who's able to leave and how much money they're able to leave with, you still end up not being able to control it because they still find ways about it, because it turns out that wealthy people can hire whole teams of people in order to figure out how to get their money around your blocks.
That's exactly right. France's national debt was reported at $3.6 trillion U.S. in the end of the 2024, growing by nearly $1 trillion since 2023. This is over 100% of the country's annual GDP. No, that ain't nothing. Demonstration read, "Tax the rich." Yes, please do. Yeah, guys.
Everyone always says that, right? The solution is never, maybe we should take less free stuff from the government. It's always, no, let's take more of somebody else's money so I can continue to get free stuff from the government. Crazy.
I tell you what, if you make it a choice between, hey, do you want free stuff for French families or free stuff for these Muslim immigrants? I guarantee very quickly it'd be like, we can get rid of the Muslim immigrants and then get our free stuff.
Yeah, but that's how they think, right?
I know.
Yeah.
However, similar taxation efforts have been tried across the EU and in the UK, causing companies and business owners to simply close up shop and leave. Exactly right. You know, it's like if a company can leave, they will. If they can't, they'll just shut down and hey, I'm out of business. See ya.
Read that next paragraph.
The current tax rate for top earners in France is 45% of income over 180 euro, which is a lot less than it used to be, honestly.
Yeah. 45
higher. Yeah, higher income earners also face additional surtaxes, social charges that significantly increase the total tax rate as a common. If I remember correctly, I think the top tax rate in France, like once you add all additional things to it, and then never mind they've got the VAT tax and all that kind of stuff on purchases is well over 65%.
Yeah.
So of every dollar they're making,
all you're doing there is punishing success.
Exactly right. As is common in any other country or U.S. state that targets high earners with socialist tax measures, people with the money walk away and go where they are better appreciated. Leftist and they'll take their millions and come to America and buy one of these Trump cards, and all of a sudden they're an American citizen and their money is protected. Leftist protesters indicate that they are not interested in fair taxation, but rather wealth redistribution. Activists argue that the French president Emmanuel Macron is far right wing. That just shows to show you how fucking like off kilter these people in France are. And compare him with Donald Trump while espousing a laundry list of communist demands. Macron is a previous member of the Socialist Party. Of course he is. And he considers himself a centrist liberal. He's not. He's far left. He has angered leftists with his shift to center and increasing support for border controls. Actually, you know what? He's not a commie or anything like that anymore. He's one of these stakeholder capitalists, which is actually way worse. At least communists are honest about what they want, and then they just get, stakeholder capitalists are like, don't worry, we're going to give you everything that you want, but you'll have to just own nothing. The riots seem to be motivated by typical Antifa goals, including Free Palestine movement, destruction of nationalism. France conservative anti-mass immigration movements have been growing exponentially, along with similar movements across Europe. Leftists have been trying to flex their numbers as a way to frighten political leaders. But Joe, did you see that evidently AFD won like majorities in like all kinds of elections recently? It's probably not enough, but every one of these elections, you see these European right-wing groups steadily gaining ground. I think the people are starting to wake up. The problem is it's just way too late, I think. I think Europe is essentially a dead man walking.
Well, in Europe, the social programs that have been paid for by NATO, let's be honest, the fact they didn't have to spend any money on defense, they're so entrenched now in society that even people on the right believe that everyone is entitled to them, and that's not true.
It's unfucking real. Watcher, what's your kind of take on this whole French commie shit?
I do not know. I see no real will in France to do anything. Like, even the quote far right doesn't really want to do things that would actually fix the country. They just want to stop migration.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think you're wrong. I think they just want free shit. I honestly think that's the only thing they want.
The truth of the matter is to be a leftist in any nation anymore at this point, you have to literally be mentally ill, because you have to believe things that aren't true in order for you to be a leftist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I care about
become women no matter how much you think they can, and you're not entitled to half of my money no matter how much you think you are.
Well, yeah, it's a proscriptive versus descriptive version of reality. But I look at stories like this, and I suppose it helps to understand my mental model. I believe we're in a global communist revolution. I believe that multiple countries, I believe there are very few countries that have a way out in the near term. I think that it's going to do what communism and socialism always does, but on a much faster scale, because generally those countries have somebody to act as a sugar daddy. And there won't be anybody.
I mean, look at Venezuela. Venezuela is a perfect country that if any kind of country ever has a shot at making socialism work, it's the one with the largest proven oil reserves in the world to kind of backstop and fund this. But even that, they can't fund it. That's like having an infinite number of rich people to tax all the time. But yet, even that doesn't work.
Everybody always thinks that, but it's funny when you look at economies that are purely based off extracting something from the earth and shipping it out. They tend to be the worst off. Like that tends to be like one of the absolute worst ways to fund your country. I'm not sure why. I don't understand the full economic principles behind it, but Like, Saudi Arabia is one of the very few examples that it's
the
not
Gulf-
even
the
that
Gulf
much of an
states-
example.
The Gulf states have done it in a way that the only way they were able to do it is I think that they had to use totalitarian religious measures in order to make it work.
So
that's that deal with the devil, you know.
yeah, but no, I think we're in a global you get what you asked for, period. And unfortunately, there's an awful lot of us who didn't ask for it, but enough of them demanded it that any place that falls to it is going to see the wages of communism, which are always death.
Let me point out something Scott just pointed out. He mentioned Gulf states and deal with the devil. Well, when you worship the devil, it's a lot easier to make a deal with him.
I mean, you know.
So I do have a question about this. The only part of this that actually makes me even care about the story. Where are all the French rich fleeing to?
Where are what?
Where are all the French rich fleeing to?
In the Pacific or in the Lesser Antilles Islands in the Caribbean. That's where they are.
Oh, I was going to say Monaco or something like that.
So putting them in the Caribbean.
Andorra, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, either of those places, there's a very good chance that now their wealth is much more, shall we say, it is much closer to the Chinese than it had previously been in either of those two locations.
You'll probably be surprised at how many of their businesses are registered on the Isle of Man and the Isle of Wight.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these rich Euros are the ones that are become these international kind of global citizens. You know, these people that are basically, you know, have multiple passports and passports of conveniences and things like this. So, yeah. Anyway, it's pretty interesting. I just thought this whole, France is on fire thing. It's just kind of good to remind people, that not much has changed in France, I guess. All right. Low Key Larp, thank you very much. Gifted 5 subs there in the Rumble chat. Thank you very much, brother. And one more story here. Back to a domestic topic here. Like we never talk about domestic topics lately. This is originally from an Epoch Times story. Immigration authorities have arrested 5,500 people, 550 people in Chicago area in less than 2 weeks as part of Operation Midway Blitz, a major crackdown that officials from the Department of Homeland Security described as targeting dangerous criminals shielded by Illinois sanctuary policies. Let's see. Operation Midway Blitz, in honor of Katie Abram, has resulted in 550 arrests. DHS Secretary Tricia McLaughlin told Epoch Times in an emailed statement, "Every arrest is a testament to DHS and its law enforcement's dedication to enforcing the laws of our nation." DHS said Chicago operation launched September 5th and aimed at removing individuals with serious criminal records and longstanding deportation orders. This operation will target the worst of the worst criminals, illegal aliens in Chicago. So I'm just glad to see some kind of results of some of these things. And, Joe, they did federal raids and probably had some support from the National Guard, and thousands of people weren't killed by this totalitarian jackbooted thuggery. Call me surprised.
Crazy, right? The funniest thing to come out of that was the beautiful execution of an ankle trip on the alleged congressional candidate who believes that by virtue of being a congressional candidate, she is immune from law enforcement action.
Well, I mean, would you be surprised if they did anything else, Joe? I mean, this is
right.
I mean, how many times?
That's a tenet of communism, right? We're the ruling class, so therefore we have special rights.
Yeah, how dare you? Do you know who I am?
If they would do that to me, they would do it to you. Literally, no one knows who you are, first of all. And second of all, it's irrelevant who you are when you're standing there wearing a mask and committing sedition. And there's a mayor who was there, is filmed at his second protest in 2 weeks. That mayor should be removed from office.
It's a good point. Watcher, what's your kind of thoughts on this kind of this roundup in Chicago?
Well, give me just a second and I'll give you my thoughts. I just got to pull up a calculator here real quick. So 550 times 365 times 3. Actually, yeah, never mind. My comment is that's actually, if they can get that on a regular basis, that's actually a very sustainable rate. I suspect that if they were able to keep that up all day, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the remainder of the presidency, they would roughly rid Chicago of 70% of the illegals that are estimated to be there. So yeah, that's actually a decent effort in this town. It's not going to stay that way. This is a big rush that they did for news headlines, and I hope that it keeps up, but I don't see this not. The Democrats aren't going to let this happen. I don't know. Joe's tweet from later will become relevant here, but in this realm as well, they view it as direct warfare, and we're literally shipping off potential recruits for them. So I don't expect this to last long.
Somebody asked to see the video, so I'm trying to find it really quick.
Yeah. That's actually pretty good. I thought that it was I thought that was originally based on out of Portland. I thought the video was from Portland, but evidently it's not.
I don't think that's the one. Hold on, I almost have it here. Pushing and shoving. It was a busy day. There's a whole bunch of different video angles. I want to get the best one for you. Here it is. Stand by. I'll have a watcher if you want to. I'm going to put it down here. Put this up. There we go. This is for you, Suron. Here's the video.
Oh, yeah.
Watch. Here she comes.
Yeah, I feel like this guy gets a little talking to from his supervisor.
For what?
No, I go over here. This guy's like, hey, buddy, like, come on, you don't do it on camera. Come on, you giving us some bad.
I think that she should be grateful that she was not taken immediately into custody.
As she should have been. Yep.
So, Joe, can you kind of explain to the people why she's actually doing something that's potentially illegal when she does that?
Well, she is attempting to prevent the enforcement of federal law by physical force. That meets the exact definition of sedition, and it is a 5-year felony. So, because there is more than 2 of them there, it is a seditious conspiracy. And she's lucky that he did an ankle trip rather than a leg sweep and landed her on her non-existent butt rather than on her teeth.
Yeah. You got to admit, though, that was that little hipper right there. If she wasn't young, that'd be a pretty devastating injury, honestly. Like you do that to a 65-year-old granny. But yeah, she's young. She's fine. She'll walk it off.
And he's got that pepper ball gun in his hand. She's lucky she didn't take 2 rounds from that, because I would have put 2 on her and she hit the ground. Just to encourage her to stay there. Yeah, I've watched this video about 4,000 times. It doesn't get any less funny no matter how many times I see it.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. You weigh 100 pounds and you're trying to stop the full weight of the federal government.
But that just goes to show you the absolute like mental disconnect with reality that these people have. Like, they're gonna stop because I'm important or because my thing is righteous. And this is why these kind of like these environmental activists that block the highway, and then all of a sudden the cars coming at them at speed. It's amazing how fast they get the fuck up out of the road because they realize that their bodies ain't gonna do shit to that car that's coming at them 85 miles an hour. Lost Corp 23 for $5 says, why can't we have a catch and release in northwestern Greenland with these folks? That's a good point. That would be a good place to see. If Denmark would just stop squatting on our God-given American land that is known as Greenland, we could start doing that. But I don't know
the same about the Canadians.
That's right.
Hey, who won the War of 1812? We did. Canada only exists because we were gracious in the treaty.
That's exactly right. All right. All right. Anything else, guys?
No, we can jump into our main content.
Well, I was going to say, Joe, maybe first you could talk about little tacticalwisdom.com.
We can. I'm happy to see book sales have gone up. It's sad that it took the murder of Charlie Kirk to do that. So shame on you all. You should be telling your people to buy my books anyway. Just kidding. It's not you people who are that way. It's everybody else in the world. But I wrote an article on situational awareness, paying attention to what's going on and knowing what's going on around you. So that's important. This weekend, we have some folks coming in for community security. I've got one guy from Canada, and I've got folks from all over the country coming in, Colorado and Las Vegas. So good stuff. One guy's coming because his friend came and met me. Dude, that's a really bad reason to come, man. Your friend was probably drunk at the time, so sorry, bro. It's going to be disappointing. No, we have a few more slots left in this weekend's community security ops class, and then we're going to have a couple weeks off, and then we will be down in North Carolina for mountain readiness on the 11th and 12th, I believe. Or no, that's when I'm leaving. The 19th. I made this mistake last week. Stand by. Let me get my calendar up.
Coming from Montana, Joe, it's kind of a joke that you don't have mountain readiness where you're at. I mean, you're going to basically hill readiness.
Oh, but stand by. Yes, we're going to hill readiness. That's a great point. 18th and 19th in Harmony, North Carolina. You can come and see me and Matt and Angry American and T from Mountain Readiness, who will be bringing mountain readiness to actual mountains rather than the hills that y'all claim are mountains in Appalachia. We're going to be having mountain readiness here July 24th through the 26th of next year.
It'll be awesome.
It's going to be good. Scott will be there, I think.
Fingers crossed that I will be there. I have no indications that I won't be, but then again,
even if you're not, Watcher will, and that's good enough. And I'll be running a class down there in North Carolina the 21st through the 23rd. Still a couple slots left. There are a lot of folks taking that class, but I do have some slots left. So come and take Fieldcraft down in North Carolina. Then we run right into the Scout and Recce course the 24th through the 29th. So we have a long week going on up there. A lot of good stuff happening. So get on it. I will add some November and December survival classes here, but nothing too tactical and outdoorsy in Montana in October and November.
It sounds like so many great classes coming up. Really kind of jealous that I'm going to miss out on them, but yeah, especially the mountain readiness stuff down in NC Scout land. Speaking of NC Scout, let me give I refreshed the formatting here a little bit, so bear with me. All right, so this is my brush beater store ad. All right, tonight we're tearing into the raw truth. Charlie Kirk's memorial, a solemn tribute to a patriot cut down by treachery. His legacy igniting a firestorm of resistance against those who silence us. And as we honor his stand, we face a looming specter of a Venezuelan war, potentially. U.S. warships slicing through the Caribbean waters, missiles flashing as Maduro's jets provoke our defenses, narco boats sinking in fiery blasts. Is this the prelude to invasion? Who knows? With enemies, foreign and domestic, tightening the noose, it's time to gear up and stand tall. Brought to you by the Brush Beater Store, led by NC Scout, equipping you with the training and optics to hold the line, whether it's cartel chaos spilling over the border or shadowy threats striking at home. As Venezuelan narco lords, what is it? What is the Del Sol? What are they? Cartel Del Sol?
Yeah, Cartel de las Souls.
Yeah. That's basically the modern day version of what was it called? The Tonkin Bay incident. Because you got to have something to get the thing started. As Venezuelan narco lords flood our streets and domestic assassins take aim like they did at Charlie, Brushbeater's RTO course arms you with ironclad comms to outsmart any foe, coordinating through blackouts against Maduro's militias and urban riots. Step up with the advanced RTO course, cracking enemy signals, wielding electronic warfare to dominate the fight, from dodging drone attacks to encountering local sabotage. When the shooting starts, in a foreign incursion or a traitor's ambush, the tactical casualty care course trains you to stop the bleed fast, saving lives under fire. From jungle firefights to hometown chaos. And for precision when it counts, Kyber Optics MDO delivers a battle-ready closed emitter red dot shake-away tech with a 50,000-hour battery, locking targets from point blank range to long range, perfect for night ops against cartel smugglers and rogue threats. Get ready at Brushbeater's Yanceyville, North Carolina training ground, or load up online at brushbeater.store/collection/training and brushbeater.store/collection/optics. Use code CFC10 for 5% off. Optics, radios, gear, orders over $100 shipped for free. Big thanks to Matt at the Brushbeater Store for powering counsel in future conflict as we expose battles ahead. Hit brushbeater.store, enter a CFC10, and arm yourself to fight back. Now, I was going to say something kind of, trite here, but I really think, like after this memorial, I feel like there's a little piece of Charlie with all of us who are getting ready for this fight because it's coming. Guys like Charlie didn't want to have to fight the fight, but it's guys like us, if the fight comes, have to be ready. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind as you're kind of doing, prudent preparations for the worst. Nobody wants the bad stuff to happen, but you just need to be ready if and prepared to protect those you love. So just keep that in mind. All right. Back to the show. All right. Let's get into the main topic here today. We're talking about Charlie's memorial. So I've got this zero hedge story, and the thing I kind of like about it is there's several clips in here that we can potentially look at. I mean, the first one there is the full 9-hour. We're not going to watch that. You know what? Before we watch this, I just want to kind of highlight, and I wonder if it's in here. I'm just scanning it to see if it's in here. No, I don't see it. Watcher, can you open the Stephen Miller speech? I think this is a tale of two speeches, right? And it's Stephen Miller's speech, and it's Kirk's wife Erica's speech. One is kind of forgiveness and love, and the other one is like you're calling down the storm. Can you play that clip, the Stephen Miller clip? It's about 2 minutes, but it gives you kind of like his speech was only like 5 minutes, so it gives you the main piece.
I'm not seeing where it is in the
it's
story.
Not. It's in the it's in the next link under.
Oh.
It's not in the story.
Gotcha.
That's why I say I want to play it out of order. Now, Joe, this will be the first time you say anything.
We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity. You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized Charlie Kirk. And now millions will carry on his legacy. And we will devote the rest of our lives to finishing the causes for which Charlie gave his last measure of devotion. You cannot defeat us, you cannot slow us, you cannot stop us, you cannot deter us. We will carry Charlie and Erica in our heart every single day and fight that much harder because of what you did to us. You have no idea the dragon you have awakened. You have no idea how determined we will be to save this civilization, to save the West, to save this republic.
Sorry, I muted myself. And that was kind of the heart of his speech. There were a couple other kind of fire spots. Joe, the interesting thing that I'm seeing here is like a biblical calling, right? Not just towards, salvation and love and Christ, but also a biblical understanding of retribution and evil, and which is a lot more kind of basic than, a lot of the kind of evils that people want to try to articulate that are out in the world. It's pretty easy. Evil's pretty easy to see and understand once you just kind of.
Scott's going to die in the corner while I carry on this thought. I really liked that speech and everything. I probably wouldn't use the word army because it plays into the left's hands. And I probably wouldn't use as much red in the background because it plays into the left's hands. But I worry about the optics, and then they don't. But what's funny is the left called this whole thing a Nazi rally, which is ironic because they called Joe Biden's actual Nazi rally out there in Philadelphia a moment to come together, which was absolutely false. So it's sad that the left acts this way.
I will remind you, they don't call it a Nazi rally because they think it's a Nazi rally. They don't they call it a Nazi rally so they have an excuse to try and kill everyone at it.
Correct. You could say, I disagree with their message. You could have said, hey, I didn't like some of the words they used, and got your same point across. But calling it a Nazi rally justifies the use of armed violence against it. And I'm sorry, Data Republican, I don't think Jesus does love destiny. He will tell Destiny, I never knew you, and move on.
Yeah, this guy's pretty much about as bad as they come. And as far as just hatred in his heart, I don't ever think that I could, absolve somebody like him of this type of hatred. But
I'm sorry, guys. There's a lot of, hey, let's come together talk after this, and how do we get the hatred? You're not going to. They introduced it because they wanted it. They don't.
And they don't really want you to. It's only our side that actually says that. They've made some. They never said let's come together. They said we need to tone down the rhetoric, and they weren't talking to themselves. They were talking to us, telling us that unless you shut up, you're going to end up like Charlie Kirk.
Oh, and in fact, that's what they are now coming out today en masse on transgender terrorist accounts, including ones that are currently retweeting me, saying, yeah, we want you to be afraid. We want to kill more people. Keep talking and we'll kill you.
I gotta hope that they're gonna follow through in this idea of the terror, the foreign terrorist organization, because the other option is that they're not going to do anything, which is not an option at all. So I'm hoping that they're crossing all the I's and dotting all the T's. Yes, I mix those up intentionally. But in order to get it right before they do it. But, say again.
What does a terror designation really do? It bans you from air travel. It bans you from the banking system, and it bans you from international travel.
I just thought that maybe the Delta Force would break through their front door and put a pill in their head.
But it doesn't do that.
I know. I'm just saying.
The law still requires probable cause for every arrest and all that, even if they are a member of a terror organization. So,
but does it a direct threat to
It opens them up to immediate investigation, which is where you find those other making direct threat stuff that they can then go after them for.
That's how investigations work in the United States. They're not supposed to work. I know that we investigated people simply for being conservatives, but under the Constitution, investigations are only supposed to take place after a specific event has occurred, a crime, and then we investigate. We don't just investigate people to try and find something on them. That's a communist thing.
No. Like let's say terrorist X were to post a video and say, I want to kill Republicans, then that opens themselves up to then, that's probable cause. We can get a warrant, and then
Are you saying we don't have whole sections of the FBI dedicated to various different gangs to track their activity because we know they're likely to carry out gang activity?
What did I say, Washer? Because I said it's the way we do it, but it's not supposed to be. That's what I said in the beginning.
Oh, okay. Sorry. No, I wasn't being snarky there. I legitimately misunderstood what you were saying there.
My point is this. We are helping further the slippery slope that was started under Obama and Biden by saying, hey, now that we're in charge, we're going to continue and make it even worse so that when they get back in charge, it'll literally be illegal to think differently than them.
So here's my frustration, Joe. I hear everything you say, and I'm kind of with you because personal freedom is more important than just kind of going like the quick instant need to go after and get revenge on people who I don't even know who they are. Right? What do you think is the right tool to kind of use to go after
responsibility and self-awareness? Stop relying on the government to solve your problems.
So
yourself.
I know. Articulate that. So, like, if somebody is just like,
how much more should I articulate that?
No. If idiot A is just articulating things into the void, then is there not a criminal kind of accountability? I mean, I'm just trying to.
There is not. Article 1.
But isn't that like incitement?
Words are words. Words are words until they become violence. We say this. We said this all of the time when Joe Biden was president. I can say what I want, and until it happens, it's just words. The point is, we can't just say we got to investigate that guy because of the way he thinks, and it's different than me. That's not the way it's supposed to work, and it's not okay just because we're doing the investigation. Because the pendulum always swings the other way at some point. And I know everyone's going to be in the chat and say, but we never let them do that again. Well, that's not realistic. We have to live in the world as it is. And yes, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I thought I was muted.
So here's my question kind of in response. So, does the death of Charlie then call into question everything anybody ever said leading up to his death? And because you can't tie them directly to his death, but you can't not say that, like, if this guy potentially watched Destiny's podcast or Hassan Piker's podcast where he said that we should kill all the Republicans and things like that. So does that mean that then we can then kind of tie the two together now that Charlie's dead?
I'll say this. The First Amendment protects you from government action. It doesn't protect you from the actions of private businesses like platforms. So it's not so much what Hassan said, but it's the fact that Twitch allowed him to continue to say it. That's the problem. So Twitch should have grown a backbone and booted him and didn't.
Right.
So they've got some culpability. I can say things like, I think Barack Obama's an evil person. That doesn't mean when somebody else kills him that I'm responsible for it.
Yeah.
What
Personal
about if you...
responsibility is the key. 1, responsibility for the things we say, and 2, responsibility for our own safety. What we're doing here, and I'm sorry to say this, is we're saying, yeah, these people are a threat to me, but I want to use the government as my cudgel to break them down, rather than saying I should prepare and be ready to defend myself, rather than relying upon the government to do it for me. Self-reliance is key, and personal responsibility.
There are some parts of this that I don't see people being able to have self-reliability for this. Like, if a terrorist cell is plotting an attack on you, I don't care how good my network security thing is, the best I can hope for there is help after the fact.
You're giving way more credit to the FBI than you should. They're not all-seeing and all-knowing. I'm sorry.
I don't think they are, but to have somebody saying, hey, these people are part of a terrorist network, they are actively they are part of a group, that the purpose of the group is to actively plot terrorist actions, I personally don't have any problem with law enforcement going after that group at all, any more than I would have them going after a jewel robbery.
And I didn't say it either. What I said was saying we should use the FBI to beat every group into submission is the problem.
I think you make a good point about personal responsibility. That kind of goes back to my idea of like, hey, listen, ultimately in this world where you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, you got to be awake, aware, armed. You know, you need to make sure your activities are minimizing your and your family's individual risk. But that being said, we can't completely stay away from the world. So when you do go out,
that's where you guys are misunderstanding me, Watcher. You were talking about two different things. You said originally that membership in a leftist organization should automatically open you up to investigation. And then you said specifically investigating a specific threat. Those are two different things. Yes, they should investigate a specific threat and a specific criminal action that's about to happen, 100%. But we shouldn't investigate everyone who thinks that way simply because they think that way. There is a fine line, and I know it's splitting hairs, but that's the way the government's supposed to work.
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing the hair split here. Here's what I am seeing. There is a leftist terror group. They're literally a terror group. The purpose of the group is to come together to perform terror and to cover up for performing terror. That is the purpose of the leftist group. It is the only purpose of the leftist group. It's been the stated purpose of the leftist group since 1944.
Which one of them has that written down?
Antifa.
It's written down that they're a terrorist group. No, it's written down they're a community self-defense group, just like we use for our groups.
That advocates for not self-defense, but going out and committing violence, written down in their guides. That's not self-defense.
I would like you to send me that.
Yeah, I think that what
the
was
whole
it? That Antifa
literally go
guy
out
that
and punch
Hassan,
a Nazi. All that's it.
But punch a Nazi. No. You said it's in their written documents, and then you said they say punch a Nazi.
I'm using this as another example because I didn't come prepared with the written documents in hand because I didn't know that you were going to question whether a leftist terrorist organization that brings people in to plan terrorist activities is a terrorist group.
So I guess my point is that I come back to the whole individual preparedness thing, right? And yeah, I totally agree with you that you got to kind of secure yourself, secure your family, secure your kind of community. But at the same time, I agree that, the law enforcement should do law enforcement things. If somebody makes a specific threat, they should be investigated for it. The problem that I became aware of, and maybe I already knew this, but now I've got evidence of it, is there are literally tens of thousands of people out there that would either be willing participants or willing supporters of people who will be willing to do the types of things that this shooter did.
This is the problem. You have to remove the emotion. If you listen to yourself talk versus me, you have a lot of emotion, Watcher.
Me?
No, Watcher.
Your
name is Scott. Your name is Watcher.
But you said you, and until you said Watcher. So address my thing, because I don't feel like I'm coming at this.
The point is, if you let me finish my sentence, you would hear me say Watcher. So if you take the emotion out of it, we actually agree. You just want to burn the whole thing down, and I say, I say, let them expose themselves so we know who they are. And here's the thing. Yeah, when they make specific threats, yes, but punch a Nazi is not a specific threat, because we should all punch Nazis. It's just a matter of what defines a Nazi and who thinks what is a Nazi.
Yeah.
If I ever saw a true Nazi near me, I would punch a Nazi. But I'm not a Nazi and you're not a Nazi, and they think they should punch us. The problem is in their definition of what a Nazi is. I'm just saying.
They know we're not a Nazi, though. That's the point of it, though. The whole point is that the intent of their speech is to incite violence. They're just using definitionally different things to hide behind our own laws.
That's the same thing they said about the murder of Charlie Kirk and why he should die. The same thing you just said. I'm just saying that this exact same argument can be used against us at the end of the day. So we need to stick to the Constitution, which is we investigate criminal activities when they occur, not thoughts before they happen. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I mean, like I don't necessarily disagree with anything.
Listen, everyone who cheered on the Charlie Kirk murder said exactly what Watcher just said.
Can you hear me talk? I'm just curious, because I thought maybe like you didn't hear me when I was talking because I hadn't finished. So like I totally see where you're coming from, Joe, and I understand where Watcher's coming from, and I kind of agree with both of you. So I guess my worry is it's less about solutions I'm trying to articulate the threat kind of that we all face. Is that like, and I don't know that anybody realized how many of these fuckers are out there. And that are maybe there may not be Antifa, right? They're like, like they got the book or they've got the card or they've been to a local meeting or whatever, but they are like Antifa adjacent, right? Like, oh, that Antifa guy said that. I kind of support that, right? Like I can vibe with that because that's the way the kids talk nowadays. It's kind of, it's almost disconcerting. Now, I don't know that it's anything that I really, if I had to really think about it logically, that I wasn't prepared for. But it's just, it's one thing to kind of think it and then to see it, right? And the one thing that we have seen is just the pure evil and ugliness that seeped into the left wing, like normies. I want to call them just kind of normies because these are people who walking down the streets are sitting there, on their phone, they're sharing TikToks and all this kind of stuff. But in reality, they are reprogrammed, commie drones who are sucking at the tit of neo-Marxist theory and just are looking for, the Nazi to punch, right? And the Nazi is literally everybody that isn't them.
I'd like to say one final thing on this, if it's okay with you both. Thinking we can use the powers of the state to defeat this Marxist revolution is already a fallacy because the state, not the president and his administration, the state, the administrative state, is already on the side of the Marxists. So relying on the FBI to go after your enemies is kind of a bad idea because the FBI is already infiltrated and taken over by them. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
All right. I don't know that I was relying on anybody other than, I think it's
Watcher
important
just
that
said we should use
I
the
know, but you
FBI.
said you said us both,
Okay,
so I just want to separate.
Are we in a position that we're getting rid of the FBI or getting rid of any of the laws that we're addressing, or are we just not using them in hopes that they don't use them against us without getting rid of them at all?
You're right. We should get rid of them. 100%.
But we're not going to.
Also true. I said, I began this whole thing with we should, but that's not the way it is. So I can't help you, bro.
I was actually just doing a little research into Watcher said that, they're basically coming out and stating about the offensive actions that they're calling for. I don't think he's wrong, but at the same time, I think it's gonna be hard to find anything. Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook, is essentially a history.
It's also an open source document where other people.
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying. I think it's a thinly veiled history, is what I think. But it basically says the best defense is a good offense. What is it? Bray discussed the concept of no platforming, which includes physically preventing fascists from holding public events. He described how Antifa groups in Europe and in the U.S. have used force to break up fascist meetings, arguing that this prevents the spread of hate speech that incites violence against marginalized communities. So it's essentially violence against speech. This is not what you
terrorism, and it's literally one of the first items in their handbook.
It's the devil's advocate position is it's not quite Al Qaeda, but then until it becomes Al Qaeda and they start shooting Charlie Kirk, and so which is kind of where they're at this point. But Joe's right too. We can't fucking trust the FBI. We can't trust the federal law enforcement. Joe, have I?
No, I've said that. I have said that thing.
Watcher's the one giving you shit on this. I'm
not giving you shit on that either. I
agree
with you. The other option I see is let's do nothing. Let's do what we've been doing for years, which is do personal preps, which we've been doing for years. And then what was the point of taking over the government in the first place?
We didn't take over the government. We took over the White House. And as I've been pointing out for at least 10 years, the person in the White House has no say in what the government does. See Donald Trump ordering them to leave Syria. Are we out of Syria? Even today.
He's decided Syria, the Jelani's his new best friend. Did you see the picture of Jelani in New York City?
Yeah. I wish we did.
Don't get me fucking started about that.
Yeah, that's well.
Anyway, so we were talking about Charlie's memorial. One of the things I want to focus on, this is kind of the good side of it, right?
We did miss one thing real quick, which is there was the Destiny tweet, and just to be clear, this is the person making that tweet.
How old is he? How is he old enough to have a 17-year-old kid? Because, I mean, he doesn't look good, but he sure doesn't look like he's like 40. I guess maybe he is. I mean, fuck, who knows? Maybe that's a 40.
I see him saying, "My precious."
I know, right?
Call him before the hair loss.
All right, I'm glad we're buddies again.
We never weren't.
I know. I'm just saying. I know, Joe. I never disagreed with you, Joe. Honestly,
I understand that. Never mind.
But you wanted to disagree with me. I didn't understand it. I was getting lumped in there with Watcher. I'm like, what did I do? All right. I don't want to talk about this one yet. I want to talk about the actual event. So go back to that first story, the Charlie Kirk Memorial Service. So here's the thing, Joe. You know, you're probably one of the men of deepest faith that I kind of interact with on a regular basis. I'm a very poor Christian. I admit to being a Christian, and I pray and I do things, but I'm not a very good Christian, I don't think. We are all sinners. I get this. But, you know, I get the feeling there's kind of a revival coming to America, right? And it's been kind of an undercurrent kind of thing, but I was really surprised. This was literally 9 hours of church, with the exception of some of the political speechifying that went on. I mean, before the event even started, like there was literally 4 hours of like Christian worship music. And here's the crazy thing. When I saw it, it started out, it was like at 60,000 views on the Turning Point live stream when I was looking at it last night, because that was morning your time, nighttime my time. And then I came back and the worship music was still on. It was like 200,000 viewers. And you had this size of a crowd. I mean, it tells me that there's something there's a change occurring. You know, like I'm seeing people saying, I went to the church for the first time in years, or I found Jesus after, unfortunately after Charlie Kirk died. Elon Musk is not what you'd call a very spiritual kind of guy, but he's saying things like he was killed because his word made the difference and showed people the light, and was killed by the dark. So this is not what you would call like a political speech. This is more almost religious speech. What's your kind of take on this? And are you hopeful that maybe this is going to be a turning point, to use the phrase, in America's kind of spiritual reawakening? Because God forbid we haven't been going to enough church here lately.
Hold on. Yes, there's a big revival. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but everyone has gotten somehow the impression that I said, don't resist the leftists, and you're all wrong. I said,
I didn't even think
on your own without the state. That's all I said.
Well, I read between the lines without trying to like say anything outward, but I got what you were putting down, Joe. I'm just saying, that's the reason why I wasn't disagreeing with you.
Surrender. That's not what I said at all.
Yeah, I was on the other side of that, and not even I thought he said that. So, chill out.
So, anywho, church attendance on the weekend after Charlie Kirk's shooting was on par with the weekend after September 11th, which I think is a very good sign, and that's a good thing. And to your point about not being a very good Christian, none of us are. There was only one perfect Christian, and he's dead. I
just like to be self-deprecating, and whenever I claim to be a Christian, I always like to be a very, very poor Christian, because I know it's true. We're all.
Oh yes.
No, Jacob, you can point it out, but don't put words in my mouth that I didn't say. That's all I'm saying. I think that it's a great thing, and I think it's going to be a net positive. And I think that most people were so focused on the sound bites the media played of Charlie Kirk that they didn't understand this about him. And it's the same thing with some of the more obscure names. People didn't necessarily believe said these same things. Steven Crowder frequently told people to go to church. Liz Wheeler tells people to go to church. But people want to only take away the negative aspects they're looking for in it. See the chat right now. People only want to look for the parts they disagree with and then castigate others because they think they said something that they didn't say. Yeah. It's much like Jesus. And I want to disagree with you on something, Scott. I'm not as good of a Christian as everyone seems to think I am. I'm just trying to help more people see the light. It doesn't make me a good Christian or a bad Christian. I am who I am, and that is it.
Joe, I really don't want you to put words in my mouth. I just said you're better than me. I don't know that takes very much.
Why do I come on this show?
So you could be a better Christian than me. Then it's like
what's the State Farm Stadium?
I know you're not trying to be though, Joe. I'm just saying. I like to boost you up a little bit.
Yes, it's going to be a revival. Thank you.
So,
but yeah, and this is very no matter what kind of church you go to, I know the Catholic churches have seen an uptick. I think Protestant churches. Here's the thing: what's going to happen, Joe, when Charlie Kirk fans show up to a United Methodist church that's got some blue-haired female, tranny minister, right? Because the church I came up in was the United Methodist Church. I wouldn't go back. I'd have to find a new church. I couldn't go back to my old church. I will probably go back with my parents because they still go, but I wouldn't take my family to one to be a members of a United Methodist Church right now. The people in the pews do not see eye to eye with the wokeification of the Protestant churches. that has occurred. Now, I know not all of them are that way, but a good number of them have become.
It's so the crowd there on the ground was over 200,000. You can only sit roughly 70,000 in the State Farm Stadium.
Well, I had heard that they had capacity at 100,000 in that.
Okay, if they did, that's crazy. And then outside the stadium, there were, I'm told, roughly as many as were inside.
Yeah,
and then as well.
And then they had another
well over 500,000 watching streaming. Oh, and another theater. Yeah, that's right, another stadium. I forgot about that. An overflow stadium.
An overflow where they watched it on big screens. This is a Cassandra McDonald tweet. Holy smokes, 300K watching Charlie's YouTube channel, 230 on Turning Point USA's YouTube, 130 on Charlie's Rumble, 680,000 on Charlie Kirk's X account. I mean,
so did anybody ever get a fix on who it was that was the leftist group that came out to protest? Because they all had pre-printed signs, so it should be pretty.
I didn't see any coverage of them.
Okay. Well, I'll look into it on my side of things.
Anyway, but I wanted to just bring this up as just a really net positive event. I think a lot of people watched it that probably didn't expect to watch it. I talked to somebody at work today who's like, yeah, I stayed up late watching it. I didn't even know it was going to happen. And it was kind of interesting. Oh, really? I didn't know you were kind of a Charlie Kirk kind of guy. So it was interesting. 1999 gets an instant read. T-Rex and Crypto Trout, thank you for supporting us again, brother. I plan on continuing to go to church. Like I said, I haven't been in 15 years. I'm certainly on a faith journey, though. Faith doesn't come immediately. We're all on a journey for what the pastor has said. Yeah, the interesting thing I've seen a lot of people on X say is they're kind of like Christian adjacent. Like it's like they've been working their way into Christianity for a long time. And they just needed to kind of take the final plunge. And I think a lot of these people have kind of seen this event to kind of make that closure. I think a lot of people have a hard time. It's not like, so when I was a kid, pretty much all churches kind of gave you the same thing. And, it was a family experience for the most part. It had a youth ministry. It was, like 2 services. You may have a band at some progressive church, but that was about as progressive as it got. It was mostly, the singing, the hymns and things like that. Yeah, that's what I did growing up. There was no political left bullshit at all back in the day. It was touchy. You may not have had hellfire and brimstone, but it was maybe a little on the gentle Christian side would be about the kind of most progressive thing. That is not the case anymore.
Yeah.
The case now is that like you may go to 7 churches out of 10 and be completely dissatisfied with with what you get. And then if you go to one of these mega churches, then you get something that's more in line with like some sort of a theatrical experience that doesn't connect personally maybe with you the way I totally understand people who aren't able to kind of immediately find their way especially if they grew up in the church and they're looking for a new church. So, I mean, I get it. That may not be your story there, T-Rex, but
yeah, the biggest. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. You first, Joe.
The biggest problem in the modern church is the modern church, right? They're trying to be too many things for too many people. They should just get back to a guy actually reading the Bible and letting people study the Bible. Church is a creation of man, and faith is a creation of God. So let me say this: you don't have to go to church to be a Christian. You absolutely don't have to. That is a fallacy sold to you by those people in Rome. But it is better if you find a community of Christians to go and spend time with, rather than saying, I believe as the Methodists do or whatever. Find a community of Christians and go to it. For me, the best way to do that is to find a non-denominational Christian church and go there. We went to a big mega church in Metro Detroit, and while it was a good non-denominational church, it had a political overtone because it had 25,000 members. When they get that big, it has to bend to the will of politics, right? If you get with a smaller one like here, there's a small one down the road. It's maybe 150, 200 people. But here's the cool thing about it. The pastor gets up and gives his talk about the Bible. But then after the service, everyone hangs around and has lunch together. And then they open up the place on Thursdays for a coffee hour, which is really just people getting around and spending time together. Nothing biblical about it, just as a community center. Get around a whole community of people who believe like you do, and you'll be amazed at the growth that happens, rather than somewhere that worships their pastor or priest and what he says, because what he says might not be biblical. The biggest danger in church is something that's warned about in the Bible multiple times, and that's false teachers, people who are teaching for their own profit rather than the advancement of the kingdom. So be very careful in selecting a church. And understand that it's more about the people who go to it than it is the individual pastor.
Let me well, go ahead, Watcher. You do your thing, and then I'll go through these super chats.
Yeah, I just want to. I think it should just be very clear, because a lot of people want to look at a lot of what's happening with the leftist stuff as something that crept its way inside the church. You should understand that a lot of it is actually, again, not based on biblical theology type stuff, but based on like religious ideologies. A lot of this wokeness is based on like early Christian sects in the United States and the way that they thought, with just thought mutations that apply to modern leftist thought. So as Joe said, be very careful about where you select a church, and also look at the lineage of said church before you make any permanent decisions.
Yeah. All right. Lance Corporal Veteran for $5. Yuri Bezmenov said the greatest threat to communism is Christianity. That's why communists hate it and violently target Christians. James E says Doorkickers update. Okay, so Doorkickers update is that I have done all the book plate signings. They are en route to Watcher. Watcher, have you received them yet?
I have not. We're dealing with a very long mail. It took, 4 weeks for it to get to you in the first place, when it told us it should only take a few days?
No, it took like 2 weeks. But that 2 weeks is about normal from to and from coming here. So
we're dealing with APO mail. So
anyway, those are literally the only thing keeping Watcher from shipping all the Doorkicker stuff. He has all the other Doorkickers materials. I believe, right, Watcher?
Yes.
That's the last thing. All right, greater wisdom. Let's see. Lance Corporal Veteran for $2. Greater wisdom is the ability to explain simply. Oh, and by the way, as soon as Doorkickers is out the door, then Lane and C will be following right after it. Watcher, we need to talk about that. So just maybe not today, but here within the next week.
Let me address something in the chat. Christ said to be a part of the church. Christ's definition of church is not the same as the modern definition of church. Christ's definition of church is the body of believers, not the specific building you go to. That's a creation of man. Hopefully that helps you.
Yeah, I think that's an easy one to debunk. All right, let's move on. Trump to let's look at this one here. Trump to designate more leftist groups as terrorists. All right, so bottom line here is that he hasn't done it yet, but I'll believe it when I see it. But I am hopeful. If he's got the right people around him, like Joe Kent and people like that. Joe's right. We shouldn't rely on the government. That doesn't mean that the government doesn't have its place potentially when people commit crimes. So
we shouldn't let them turn us into the fascists they claim we are.
That's right. That's the reason why. The interesting thing is when they call us fascist, it's like literally they're blaming themselves. Because, like, for instance, ABC fired Jimmy Kimmel, not Donald Trump.
Yeah, so they decided to shoot them for it. Hey, what other group in history used black, red, and white in their symbology?
That's right.
Anybody?
Well, it's. I'm just saying.
The Lutherans. That's who it was. Right.
That's right. They're exactly right. All right. Trump declared Antifa and their radicals have been crossed every line. It's time to call them what they are, terrorists. We will root them out and protect every American, he said. This is very hopeful that he's saying the problem is that you can hope in one hand and shit in the other and see which one fills up faster. Let's see. The latest announcement harks back to the midst of a nationwide riot following the death of George Floyd when Trump first sounded the alarm on Antifa's destructive potential. Yeah, if he had done it then I would kind of trust it, but he hasn't. He didn't do it then. We're kind of sitting here left holding the bag from all the things that people said we should have done. Let's see. Addressing reporters at the time, Trump said lambasted professional anarchists for exploiting protests, vowing these are not merely trespassers and looters; these are terrorists. And those who defend or promote them, aiding and abetting terrorists. Let's see. While specifics on named organizations remain forthcoming, potentially including groups like those involved in Charlie Kirk's shooting, Trump's rhetoric paints a picture of a coordinated ideological assault. Right. And if you were to go after anything, it would be kind of it's kind of like along the lines of making the Communist Party illegal. It is illegal, oddly enough, but they didn't make all the other versions of it illegal, which is the problem. A necessary response for the left-wing violence, Trump's actions in this manner represent a vital, overdue reaction to the escalating tide of violence. The data from the Department of Homeland Security shows 300% increase in attacks on law enforcement attributed to far-left extremists. Joe, the irony is if they had just gone after these people for the regular crimes they committed, it's kind of like the border stuff. If they just enforced the fucking laws that are already on the books, half of them would be in jail. I mean, how many people just got arrested and then released during the Summer of Love? That could have been in jail for for 5-6 years.
How many people should have been arrested 4 days ago for sedition or impeding law enforcement and didn't?
Yeah,
we allowed this to happen.
Yeah, every time they do one of these ice kind of ice kettle things where they try to leave the ice facility and they block, they could literally arrest all these people for a year. Put
them all in jail instead of pushing and not arresting them. Arrest them, put them in jail.
Arrest them and put them in jail. That's exactly right. And I don't know if it's federal prosecutors just don't want to pay the price to put these people in jail, but I bet if they started putting people in jail, a lot less people would show up at these protests. All right, Glenn Beck's a kind of gentle soul. So let's see what his take on this whole thing is. This is you don't have to listen to this whole clip. I think maybe the first half of it will get most of what we need out of it. He's talking to Ryan Maru on this about the RICO.
George Soros' own files from his Open Society foundations. So myself, my colleagues at Capital Research Center, basically went through as many grants of his, as many funding streams as we could find. And here's the smoking guns that we believe that President Trump, if he's informed of it, can use to go after Soros's network of hate in various ways. We traced over $80 million going from the Open Society foundations to at least 54 groups engaged in crime and domestic terrorism on U.S. soil, or that are pro-terrorism, endorsing things like the October 7th attacks, or are associated with foreign terrorist organizations or explicitly pro-terror groups. And this is according to his own file, so it's rock solid. And over all of that amount, over 23 million went to at least 7 groups that are doing things that meet the FBI's definition of domestic terrorism, including rioting and things like that.
Can you be specific, more specific than this?
Absolutely. I'm happy to. So the Center for Third World Organizing, for example, is an organization that has a hub that fused together several really extreme organizations. We found $400,000 going to them, and they openly boast of the fact that they threw down during the uprisings in Minnesota, obviously referring to the rioting, and boasting of how many thousands of people they helped train. A lot of these groups have created what they'll call like a protest guide or an activism toolkit, and it sounds innocuous. Then you open it up and you'll see support for Hamas in it, but then they'll sometimes slyly say, for more information, go to these hyperlinks. And you go to the hyperlinks, and there'll be guides recommending things like property destruction, violence, false IDs, how to obstruct justice, all of these things, and they know darn well what they're doing. They don't put that there by accident. Some of the more careful ones will just direct their readership to anarchist websites with all that material, knowing that they'll see it when it's there. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really stunning. And some of these groups are coalitions. So when
I think that actually what they're kind of getting at there is probably a more viable option than going after individuals, people for their speech. And that's going after, kind of connecting money to intent, and going after the money, the big money that's kind of fueling this whole thing. I think that a lot of these organizations lost a lot of kind of their power once the USAID money disappeared. What's your guys' take on that?
I think the USAID money just then got shifted to the National Endowment for Democracy, and it still continues to go out. And I think too that the right, we should use RICO charges, go against these people, go against their funding, and their support will dry up, because at the heart of it, a lot of these protesters are out there because they're getting paid to do so. And if we can eliminate that, it might actually help.
Yeah, I think there is definitely a financial motivation for a lot of the people that show up, especially at the riots. This is where the kind of the stack of bricks and like all the signs and the shields, that all look like they've been manufactured in a compound or something. Like, it's because people are being paid to make these shields, right? Nobody's doing anything for free. And these, I mean, let's be honest, nobody's getting rich off this shit, but at the same time, you're organizing something at scale. So,
tactical arts and crafts cost money.
It's exactly right. Ask Joe how he knows.
Yeah. I had to go to Hobby yesterday.
I was gonna say, I saw you posted. Not only did you go to Michael's, but you also had to go to Hobby Lobby.
If y'all want to talk about an organization that needs to be busted up by the feds, it's Hobby Lobby. I'm just kidding, everyone. That was a joke.
But where would Indiana Jones work?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said, where would Indiana Jones work if we broke up Hobby Lobby? In case no one's aware, they're like the #1 importer of artifacts you're not supposed to have.
What do you mean?
Oh, the people who own Hobby Lobby, they are like really, really heavy biblical scholars, and they, from the Middle East, have been importing all kinds of stuff that you're not legally allowed to import. That's all biblical artifacts and stuff like that for many, many years now.
Let me just slight correction. They claim to be biblical scholars.
There you go. Yeah, there you have it.
Well.
But yes, they have been involved in some, almost like this other group that did the same thing in the 40s.
Yeah.
30s and 40s.
Yeah, the irony is that I think going after the money is a safer bet than going after these individuals. Like I said, like the thing that I was just shocked and befuddled by was the sheer number of people. So I don't even know how. Let's assume we trusted the FBI, we trusted state and local law enforcement to do everything. You had not these George Soros funded prosecutors, but just straight by the book prosecutors. If you had all those people on the straight and narrow, I still don't think there would be enough of them to go after all these fucking morons that are out there cheering on the death of Charlie Kirk. Even if you had a reason to go after them, saying something I don't like is not necessarily a jail sentence,
Oh no, that's why I think those people. That's just that's a simple. The community handles itself sort of thing. Like that's
right. That's where the firing.
You don't have a job anymore.
Right. Maybe. That's where getting fired from their job and social pressure comes in. All right. Oh, and by the way, I actually heard a good difference. The difference between cancellation and what's happening to these people is cancellation is when you dig 10 years into somebody's past to find something they said in their mid-20s that's stupid, and then you get them fired from the job as a 35-year-old. Whereas this is immediate consequences for your current contemporaneous actions.
Yeah, I would like to. Well, let's take out the 10-year part even. Like, please show me the Republican that was canceled for actively praising an act of terrorism on U.S. soil, because I will cancel them too.
I know, but you know what I'm saying. Like, the idea is that somebody just says something 10 years ago, they've learned their lesson, and they can make the argument that they're a changed person. If they did something yesterday, that's who I work with every day. You know what I mean?
Way more relevant. Yeah.
Yeah, it way more relevant. Yeah. And you can, and hey, if you're a tranny, bakery, and you don't like MAGA conservatives, then just don't hire a fucking MAGA conservative. If you find out he's a MAGA conservative after the fact, go ahead and fire him. I don't give a fuck, because I guarantee that kid's going to find a job. So.
You once said the word retarded on your Twitter feed, so you should never, ever be allowed to be on Twitter again.
Joe, you just said retarded on YouTube.
Oh.
What?
Hey, ask me if I care.
Before we move on.
Wait a second, I said it. Oh, I need to cancel myself.
Well, before we move on from the retardation, let's
and Watcher now is joining
out of the way.
Okay. Yeah, Joe, this is one you suggested. You want to kind of tee this one up? I think this is pretty good, and I don't.
Man, this is literally what I've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks, before the Charlie Kirk murder even. Today, Charlie gets buried. The right is spending all their time coming with multiple angles of drones and assassins and aliens killing Charlie, so they don't have to face the fact that we are in a shooting war, and it might interfere with the NFL season if we pay attention. The left is laughing at the impotence in organizing their troops. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well
and
said.
This is the point of my argument about, well, let's just let the FBI do it. That absolves you of your responsibility of taking care of your own family, protecting your own local community, and being aware of what's going on around you. You have to understand where you are. They are shooting at you. It doesn't matter if it was a different shooter. It doesn't matter who paid for or organized it. What matters is they're shooting at you. That's what matters.
I'm just glad somebody got my joke.
Yes.
And this is the reason why I think it's not helpful to focus on the 30-06 bullet and where it ended up and all this kind of stuff. Bullets do weird things. Don't look harder at it than what it is. Charlie's dead. This kid killed him. That part is pretty open and shut, I think. The final thing that I wanted to talk about on this is, and this kind of goes to the spiritual piece. If you go back to the private chat and pull that second to last X post up, the fucking the graphene hippie.
I can't believe you're making me.
I know. Listen, but this is what I like about this is so these are two guys on the same show, right? The first one's Ian Crossland. This is Tim Pool's hippie sidekick. Christian revival happens when a critical mass of people adopt the virtues of the faith. I'm not a card-carrying member, but I can tell you that calling yourself a Christian does not make you one. Your life, essence, and being are what do that. Whereas Phil Labonte, heavy metal singer of the band All That Remains, says, no, it's not your life, essence, and being. It's your mind and heart. Your mouth and heart is what I think he meant. If you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe it in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Romans 10:9. Yeah, that is what makes a Christian revival occur. Is that people are accepting
9, which says that it is by faith you have been saved through grace. In other words, there's nothing you can do to get it. All right, God, I'm sorry, it's the other way around. It is through grace you have been saved through faith. If you believe in God, you're given the grace and you are saved no matter what. Your works don't matter. not by works, so that no one can boast. There's nothing you can do that earns your way into heaven other than believing. Now, does that mean that I should act like a complete idiot my whole life? No. Believing should make you want to be a better person and want to not go out and do those other bad things that you're not supposed to. That's the entire point of faith. Believing there is a set of steps and requirements and legalism that has to be followed. That's from man through church and as a way to give churches power over people.
That's the problem with dogma in any religion, right? It's another rule that makes you a bad person if you don't do X. Like,
I'm not going to say what church it is, but there's certain church who's like, oh, you've committed X horrible sin. Well, if you donate X number of dollars, we can forgive you. And that's not how that works. All right.
I believe there's a term for that. It's in the Bible. I think I call it priestcraft.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it the Catholics that sell indulgences amongst others?
I didn't say that. I said you said Catholics.
Well, that's the irony is I see the Roman Catholic Church as the last actual standing like organ of the Western Roman Empire.
Yes,
because the Pope, the final popes of the empire, were actual members of the government. And they continued to be a pope, but they just lost their government. All right. Let me move on, shall we? Segment 2, Venezuelan Vendetta. Venezuela's Maduro wrote to Trump after U.S. strike on alleged drug boat. Oh, no. Maybe he does. Maybe these guys were his. Or maybe these drugs are his. Who knows? Venezuela's Maduro wrote, I'm sure the money that those drugs was going to bring home would go into his pocket. That's for sure. Venezuela's Maduro wrote to Trump after U.S. strike on alleged drug boat. Venezuela leader, days after the U.S. strike on alleged gunboat, offered to engage in direct talks with Special Envoy Richard Grenell. In his letter shared on Telegram by Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez and confirmed to CNN by a U.S. source with knowledge of the matter, Maduro denies being involved in narco trafficking, refers to allegations as fake news propaganda through various media channels, and then offers to engage in direct and frank conversation with your special. Joe, let me ask you this. If you've got nothing to do with something, then you'd be like, I don't care. It's,
While I don't doubt that he receives some funding and has given a nod of approval to the cartels, I honestly don't think Nicolas Maduro is running a cartel and doing all of this stuff. He's too busy lining his own pockets with people's money.
I think he's getting a massive taste, a massive beak wet in order for them to basically just run their operations out of his country. Outside of that, he's got nothing to do with the actual day-to-day operations of Cartel del Sol.
Well, I find it ironic that ever since we started striking their boats, we haven't mentioned the Cartel del Sol. Because
I've seen it. I've seen it a couple other places. I mean, it's just. But you're right. It's not out there the way it used to be.
I have a question about all this. I am not saying this is true, but I am wondering if this is the angle they're taking it from. Is Trump in charge of the FBI? Kind of, right? Like, yes, but no. He appointed somebody. He doesn't have any involvement in the day-to-day runnings, but still, technically, he's up the chain. Yeah. I wonder if
I get where you're going. I mean, but here's the thing: like with Manuel Noriega, he was having meetings with narcos. He was like literally, basically, was he the one doing stuff on a day-to-day basis? No, but he had meetings. He was involved. People didn't do anything in Panama without him getting a taste. He basically ran that government like a fucking organized crime operation. So I don't think Maduro's at that level. At least I've seen no evidence to say he is. Now I could be completely wrong, and I would love to see evidence to the contrary. But I think he's just getting a beak wet on this more so than in any kind of real regular involvement.
Yeah, I think that's probably the truth. He probably has one guy whose job it is to coordinate with them. And coordinate just means make sure the patrols are in a different area. Because I guarantee you, Maduro and the Venezuelan government is the recipient of funds from various Western governments to help stop drug trafficking. So they take the money, they send their patrols to the wrong place, and things work. There's a 47 over my head, so you might hear helicopters. They're not coming for me. So.
Here are the choppers coming. They're coming overhead. They're coming to get the wounded. They're coming to get the dead. All right. Sorry. A little flashback there. Random POW guy 84 for $2 says, I think you're wrong on the paid protesters in the PNW. There are a lot of true. I totally agree, but a lot of true believers ain't going to get on an airplane to go to across the country unless they got somebody paying for that ticket.
And I'm going to be honest. Portland and Seattle is just one small corner of the country. I guarantee you in Detroit, those protesters aren't showing up without money.
Well, and let's dig into Portland and Seattle too, because the fact is the state can't fund that kind of action. It's always been federal funding that's getting slid through there. So come down on that federal funding that funds all the homeless encampments and drug-free needle exchanges and all that bullshit. And guess what?
Here's the thing too. Like, so for every 10 or 15 of these poor fucking bastards with not a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out, you've got one rich, daddy's rich little girl, right? And she's able to fund a lot of their kind of local or even regional chicanery. But as soon as daddy gets a call from the FBI,
them all to stay in, right?
Well, as soon as daddy gets a hint of the FBI wanting to know why his money is ending up in a terrorist organization's coffers, that shit will get cut off real quick. And when rich people start hearing about that shit, those things will start spreading around. And those funding sources will go away. And eventually what you'll end up having are the true believers will still be out there, and they'll start dealing drugs is what they'll start doing, because that's what fucking true believing terrorists always end up doing. And then once they start making a lot of money off of drugs, then they will stop being true believing terrorists and start to say, well, fuck, I'm getting rich off of this drug shit, which is exactly what happened to the FARC. They don't believe any of their bullshit anymore. They're more into drugs and selling drugs. And it's exactly what happened to the
same thing.
The ELN did the same thing, right?
And they were the right wing, right? So
there's already a model for terrorists to fund themselves without rich daddy to do it. It's just a matter of we haven't seen that evolution because the free money faucet is still on. I mean, hell, Act Blue, was funding some of this stuff. All right, let me move on to the next one here. U.S. buildup in Caribbean signals broader campaign against Venezuela. This is from the New York Times. I just got fucking it. I could see it earlier. Now I can't see it. Is it opening up for you, Watcher, or did you have to go to archive?
No, I'm archiving it. I just realized that a weirdo lefty comic writer follows me. That's weird.
Because he thinks you're a weirdo lefty too.
Hey, there's a conversation in the chat about the missile launch about 10 hours ago. It was a pre-planned, pre-announced U.S. test. There were no TAMs put out, everything. So
yeah.
It was the U.S., not the Russians. We're not all dying today. We're good.
Though, if you tell me that you don't think that the location wasn't rather
it was
auspicious.
intentionally meant to influence Manuel. I mean, I say Manuel Noriega. Maduro.
We fondly look back to the days when we had a Manuel Noriega. I tell you what, Manuel Noriega would fucking mop the floor with Maduro.
Hey.
Yes. You're a way cooler bad guy, too.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I actually met one of the DEA agents who escorted him in the C-130 up to.
Really?
Yeah, it was an interesting, and that it wasn't like I met them way later. She was a female. She was only like 10 years older than me, and she was in her late 20s, I guess, and I was in my teens, but I was going to Red Cross certification for like CPR and all that kind of stuff, and that's where I met her. It was kind of.
Wow.
And she showed me her badge. I mean, she had the shit, and I was like, holy shit. U.S. military strikes this month on 3 boats so they struck 3 boats this month that Trump administration officials asserted were smuggling drugs, have cast a spotlight on a sizable naval armada. And I think the number of troops now is up to 4,000 Marines off the coast. How long can you just kind of hold 4,000 Marines just in one geographical area like that without it being kind of weird?
Confirm.
I was going to say,
without
it's funny you should mention that.
That's pretty close to the U.S., so I'm just kind of curious, like, is that normal for them to not just kind of move around more regionally?
No, them being their station means that we are sending a very specific message. But I'll remind you that we recently had them off the coast of Lebanon for 4 months straight, along with British and French Marines. So. Really, 3 months is about the longest you keep anyone anywhere, and that's for trying to influence a nation to do what you want. But they can stay there for probably indefinitely as long as they get underway replenishment. Fresh food is the problem. So,
let's see. Let me get back to this. Military officials, diplomats, and analysts say the main purpose of the force is to ratchet up the pressure on Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro. And that's the reason why he's fucking calling for, hey, let me meet with your guy. As top figures in the Trump administration call on him an illegitimate leader and accuse him of directing the actions of criminal gangs and drug cartels. We're not going to have a cartel operating or masquerading as a government operating in our own hemisphere, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said. Mr. Maduro has been indicted by the U.S. and is a fugitive of American justice as a reward for his capture. Let's see. The heavy military presence in the Caribbean, including F-35 routers, suggests the United States plans to do. That's a little stand callback of the F-35 flying router. The 4,500 member force currently aboard 8 warships is too small to invade Venezuela. Really?
I doubt that.
I was gonna say. I mean, it depends on what you're to invade the whole country, maybe, but not to invade.
They can launch a pretty significant raid if they wanted to.
I would love to see the force of Venezuelans that could take on 4,500 pissed off Marines. And it's not, and just think of all the war brides that would be flooding their, literally they would be simultaneously getting like assaulted by not only the men trying to kill them, but the women trying to marry them.
Can you imagine the checkpoint? Military-age males here, civilians here, big booty Latinas, this line.
That's right. You say that, Joe, but we will get to that video. I got that video.
It's a shame I haven't seen much in the chat yet. So,
the clandestine deployment of elite special operation force suggests these strikes or commando raids inside Venezuela itself may be in the works. Administration officials refused to say what U.S. military action might come next. Asked on Air Force One en route back to Washington from Britain if he had discussed regime change in Venezuela with Mr. Rubio or any of his military leaders, Trump said no, because of course he wouldn't fucking say yes. Oh, yeah, we talked about that. He said that if the United States believed the boat's passengers were drug traffickers, they should have been arrested. Oh, okay. I mean, he's like, I knew that guy. Why did you blow him up? He's a good guy. That's the problem, Mr. Maduro. You knew that guy,
Well, here's the problem. By acting reasonable and saying, okay, if you thought they were drug dealers, why don't you arrest them? They actually kind of win in the court of public opinion, right? Because already everyone on the left is saying that same thing.
Right. Let's see. The massive naval flotilla off the coast of Venezuela and the movement of fifth-generation F-35 fighters to Puerto Rico has little to do with actual drug interdiction. They represent operational overkill. Rather, they are a clear signal to Maduro that this administration is growing serious about accomplishing either regime or behavioral change from Caracas. Gunboat diplomacy is back, and it may well work. Yeah, this is literally gunboat diplomacy.
It worked on
Joe.
China.
What do you think the odds that this works on Maduro? Because I don't know, outside of him giving up and turning himself in, I don't know that.
I think that it's not likely to work on Maduro, but the actual target isn't Maduro. It's the people around him.
Exactly right.
Through. And it might actually work for that purpose.
Yeah. And what would be interesting is if I would assume the CIA is basically ringing every kind of cell phone of somebody that might have the ability to topple him and offering them big bags of money, because literally that's easy for them to do.
Yes.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't send in like special forces to literally deliver the bag in order for the operation to go down.
I think that very well may be the purpose of the Marines. There is personnel recovery should it become necessary of special ops personnel that might be doing things there already.
Yeah, already. Exactly right. Let's move on to the next one here. Trident II D5 submarine launched nuclear ballistic missile tests fired in the Atlantic, but who pulled the trigger, the U.S. or the U.K.? I mean, only two navies have that missile, so, who knows? Nuclear submarine, either the United States or the Royal Navy. I'm just going to go out and say it. It's the United States did it because the fucking UK can't afford to shoot one of these fucking things off, probably. A UGM-133 Trident II D5 submarine launched ballistic missile, or SLBM, as we say, with those of us in the know. In the North Atlantic on September 21st, 2025, the missile test carried a hypersonic glide vehicle, an unusual payload, according to Russian media outlet Russia Today. The news organization added a nuclear submarine fired the Trident ballistic missile from deep inside the Atlantic Ocean. Neither the U.S. Navy or the Royal Navy of the United Kingdom, the two forces that have the Trident II D5 SLBM, in their article, issued any statement about the test firing. A few days ago, a navigational warning, which is what Joe was talking about, the NOTAM, between September 17th and the 22nd was issued at the area where the test firing took place. The video of the alleged missile took place at about 2325 UTC, also surfaced on social media. One such post read footage tonight from all over Puerto Rico captured the launch of what is believed to be the SLBM. Now, Joe, the fact that you can see it from Puerto Rico absolutely puts it within the kind of the sphere of influence of Venezuela. It's clearly intent. Basically said, listen, you're being stupid, and we have.
But not just Venezuela, the Russian and Chinese listening stations. So, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, it goes into what is it? Well, I already told you what it is. It's a ballistic missile.
Oh, well done, Jay Clark. We need a new publication, The Dangers and Concerns of Bolivarian War Brides. It should say Bolivarian, not Bolivarian, because they're not invading Bolivia.
I'm just saying, if you choose, don't go too young. You want to know that they didn't blow up at 25. That's always the hazard. So you get them post 25 and they're still thin. You're probably safe. Speaking of ballooning Bolivarian war brides, Let's watch this video, Joe. What do you
You know,
what do you say?
Ejercito Bolivaran is having some recruiting problems.
Well, I just like to say they're very optimistic.
Well, you know what? You can tell that she is a very good party member because you don't get to look like that in Venezuela unless you are a very good party member.
Yeah, I mean, she literally is like eating people out of house and home.
Right.
Oh my God. I shouldn't laugh, but it's funny. What are you gonna do?
They're operators operating operationally. Go back and freeze frame it on the guy's camouflage, by the way.
Right there.
Yeah.
You know, we're all about the drip, and there he is. That tiger stripe, the urban tiger stripe that works literally nowhere in Venezuela. So good luck, sir. Good luck.
Well, at least it is a green tint, you know. I mean, you could argue that the fact that she moved all the way across in one bound, I mean, that is pretty impressive. I mean, when was the last time she ran anywhere that far? Maybe to the bread line. Oh, wait a second. There's no way in hell she's ever been in
They
the
told her there were sandwiches in that building, and she was on the hunt.
They probably told her there are fucking Twinkies in there. I haven't seen Twinkies since the United States sanctions started.
I do like the fact that she committed all the way and wore those desert camo pants.
Yeah, I was just looking at one of the screen grabs underneath in the. Yeah, that's a pretty effective. I mean, I can't even see her legs here. I mean, it's almost like she's just a red
finish.
Very, very effective.
She bought those because it said chocolate chip camo on it, and she thought it was something entirely different.
Yeah. Can Marines keep the AK-103s if they capture them?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, guys, that's all we got for today. Joe, looking towards the week, anything that's popping off that you think, anything maybe domestic or foreign, either one?
I think we're going to continue to see some agitation from the left and more interference with ICE, and that's going to come to a head in Chicago. So I would pay attention to that, and I would be looking for some more leftist attacks all week. The media is not covering them, so be looking for them and pay attention to them.
Watcher?
Same. My eyes are squarely focused on the American left, the local. Look, and I'm not saying that this means every trans person is a threat, because I think that there is basically a deadly triangle here between cluster B personality types, trans people, and violent leftist ideology. If you have people that meet those three things, yes, I would be very concerned with those people in your life. Yeah, I would look out locally, because despite what will actually happen, which is most likely Antifa in a couple of places losing some funding, this has, of course, unavoidably played right into they're all coming to genocide us narrative. And so they're going to be feeling bolder than ever.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. You know, I honestly think that this kind of response to Charlie Kirk's death, you know, kind of some of the people are kind of like lift their heads up and go, and we realize they're pod people, right? You know, some of those pod people are going to get scared shitless because of the response that they're going to receive from the people around them, right? Like, not only is it the kind of like, I got fired from my job at freaking Shake Shack or whatever because Shake Shack's conservative, but it will also be my mom won't talk to me anymore. My grandmother said, I don't ever want to see you again, right? Like, these are the kind of things they're like, what? They either shake somebody awake and they're like, wait a second, maybe I need to reevaluate my fucking life choices. And that's when somebody realizes that they've been fed a line of bullshit, right? Or it could literally cast them down, and they basically said, well, now I just got to go pot committed.
Well,
right.
yeah,
And I can't admit that I've made a mistake. So I think this is either going to further radicalize some of these people, or it may separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, and if you think it's just McDonald's people and gas station attendants, I'll tell you, there are cops being fired nationwide for coming out in the wake of this and saying that they're Antifa and calling for violent action. This one was Hillsborough, North Carolina sheriff's deputy, a corporal that was calling for the hanging of all Republicans.
The detention.
James,
not a state officer, but yes.
Yeah.
James E for $2 says we should do a tier list of camo.
We've done this like several times, but we can do it.
Well, we've talked about it, but like
We
actually
need
doing like a tier list.
What they want is for me to graphically do a tier list while you two talk about it. That's what they want.
I think
that sounds like a fine Saturday show.
It does. Now we just got to find a Saturday we can all do it.
Yeah, it's not this Saturday or next, or the one after that. So I guess we have to do it on a regular day.
We could just do it as like an addendum to our Friday show, and then cut it off, and then make it a separate show.
And keep in mind, I want to try to get Molly back on here, Molly and 50. So,
you know what? Let's try to do that on. Can you think they'd be available to do it this Friday?
They asked me if that's what I meant, and I told them I would talk to you today. So
yeah, I think we do it, and we do the first. We do them for like an hour and a half, and then if they want to hang out and do the camo tier list with us, we can do that at the end of the show.
Do a business casual.
That happened.
Chocolate chip equals number one. Well, first of all, number one is not a tier, my friend. You need to get with the whole times. S tier is like the top.
A tier, B tier,
B tier, C tier.
Listen, I do like me some chocolate chip. That was one of the best camo patterns ever created, man.
Yeah, that's the reason why the Iraqi army wore it, and that's where I lost my love with it.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Let's be honest. A camo is not just the aesthetics. A camo is also represented by the people who have worn it, right?
Like Rhodesian brushstroke.
Like Rhodesian brushstroke, right? Like there, you could argue that it's validity without the history and be both critical and positive. But once you factor in the history, it's like it's fucking you can't argue with it.
Like yesterday, I have a video I have to put out today, but yesterday I was wearing the South African 32 Battalion camo. That's about the guys who wore it more than it is about the camo.
Yeah.
It's essentially just another woodland pattern. But
another great example is like Waffen SS camo. Really good looking camo, but unfortunately it was worn by the fucking SS. So it's kind of like, that kind of no matter how good it is, it's like.
That reminds me, I want to give props to the show SAS Rogue Heroes, because when they ended season 2 with the Italian campaign and the SAS parachuting into northern Italy, they had them in the proper Denison camo, which was the forerunner to Rhodesian brushstroke. It was the first brushstroke pattern. They were wearing Denison smocks when they landed. So,
but yeah, there's been some great camos over the years, and I think
Jay mentions Urban Tiger Stripe, and he is going to be yeeted from the chat forever. No, I'm just kidding.
Urban Tiger Stripe. I mean, he's just doing that to jerk your chain there, Joe.
Actually, John in the chat, I don't know if he's in there, Alpha Charlie Concepts, and I have sets of Marpat Tiger Stripe, and it's legit.
Well, the desert digital tiger is pretty badass.
Yes.
And talk about somebody badass that wore it. It was I forgot the name. The NDA. What was the NDS security? Special forces in Afghanistan. Those guys were pretty fucking badass. And that was their camo pattern in Afghanistan. So Like all the guys who were fighting at the end were the guys wearing that camo, but because they were fucking dead if they got captured. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, that's all I got. Hey, gentlemen, I appreciate your time. We will definitely do something fun on Friday. We'll set it up with Molly and that other gal. I don't know that I've ever met her before, so it'll be nice to meet somebody new. And we'll do the camo tier list if Watcher can get it. Watcher, we need to make sure that all the best camo is represented on there. So we don't want to look.
Okay, so that's going to take preparation. Y'all got to make lists.
Yeah, I can send you swatches if I need to. You just
no. That'd be even better. But if not, make lists of the ones you want.
Yeah, like good old Bundeswehr. Yeah, actually, it's easier to find the swatches.
Tier list, so you need the worst too. You
can't
100%. Be all the best stuff.
All right, guys, that's all I got. Thank you for being here, Joe, Watcher. Appreciate you guys and your time. Chat, you guys are killing it as always. Thank you so much. Appreciate all you who supported the show monetarily or just with your time in the chat. This is the best chat out there. So, like I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you guys weren't there, I don't know that I'd be able to do this slog all the time. So, for my partners here, but also for you guys, that's the reason why I do this show. So, thank you. We will be back on Wednesday, same time. If you haven't done already, please like the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notification, share this link with your friend, let them know you're getting some good stuff over here on the Council of Future Conflicts. And as always, stay safe.